And the teacher has something to say about that too, but I find out, okay, Tammy, are you guys in a lockdown? What's going on over there? And she goes, well, it has nothing to do with your daughter. I thought, okay. So Tiffany comes home, and I said, Tiffany, what went on in school today? And I said about the time. And there were 2 senior boys mooning in the school. Okay, and that's why I couldn't get anybody to get my daughter out of a crappy class, because you got 2 other guys pulling their pants down somewhere. And one was, I think, through this science class, and I don't know if they ran around the school. I don't have all the facts. But you don't read that in the paper either. So I thank you for the time, and I'm sorry it took so long, but it's a fight we're fighting. So thank you.
Can I share a little horror story with you from our school district? I talked to a teacher who said that they'd passed this law, or I don't know, whatever, saying that the teachers are not allowed to restrain the children. So she said, in our school there's a child who likes to take off his clothes and run down the hallway, but we can't do anything because we can't restrain him. The only way that you can restrain a child is if he's hurting somebody else. If he's running down the hallway without any clothes on, well, he's not hurting anybody. There's another child who likes to run down the hall yelling, F you, F you, F you, and they can't restrain him. Not hurting anybody. Well, I don't know if it's a law. I don't know whether it's a law or what is it called?
What are the rules?
School district something, whatever. Okay.
She had.
I just want to let you guys know that they are teaching. They taught my kids communism in the Belle Plaine Junior High and High School, and how they did that was. They divided up the class lines. I bet you this happened to every single one of you as parents. They divided up the class in small groups, and each one, and they were assigned projects. And the group, it was called group project, and everybody in the group would get the same grade for the project. And every single one of my 3 kids came home and said, the other kids in the group don't want to do it, they won't do anything. They don't care about their grade. What do I do? And all 3 of them ended up doing the entire project themselves. This happened 3 times to me. The entire project themselves, took it back to school, made an A on the project, and all the rest of the kids got an A too that was in their group. Now, my 3 kids will probably never be communist, but the other kids in the group thought that was great, and they probably will all be communists.
Do you have the name of a book where it talks more specifically about, you mentioned that you had that there were 6 items that you were talking about, specifically the sensitive periods of learning. And so I was wondering if there's a book, or is there a resource that I could get a hold of for that?
Well, a lot of the sensitive periods that I talk about were the ones that Maria Montessori discovered. And you learn that in the training. I don't know that she has a list of that in any of her books. The teachers just learned them when they took the training, so unfortunately I don't know anything that I can direct you to. You might look on the web, because I think some teachers that have been through the training have listed some of them. But
Charlotte, this is just kind of a quick comment of more or less the end result of all of that you're talking about. I recently went back to school at a local community college, and to get involved in the class I'm taking, I had to participate in something called the AccuPlacer test, which is what every student pursuing ongoing education in Minnesota has to go through. So I took the test. Now, I haven't been inside a classroom since 1983, public education, so to speak. So I got done taking the English and the math portion of the test, and I went up, you get your results, and it's instantaneously. And I said, well, what did I get? And, I got like in the 90s at my math. And I said, well, what is the average kid coming through here, prospective student? get in math? And he said, well, in the mid-50s. And I said, well, that's just, shocking to me, that that's what they're seeing as an average. So that, it's always interesting to kind of get a perspective of what the kids coming out of, the schools today are generating. And I'm sure I was probably spent $2,000 or $3,000 a year on, if that, in a rural northern Wisconsin school compared to what comes out of Anoka High School, for instance. $10,000 a year, educate a kid.
Did you have something?
I just want to make a comment. Having people run through the hall naked and yelling obscenities sounds like an insane asylum to me.
Huh, yeah, you got it.
Every one of us lives in a school district. When's the last time you were in a school board meeting? My hand's not going up either. They are supposed to represent our philosophy and our values. So that's an action item for all of us.
Principle 21, local, strong local government.
Over here?
We still, as parents or as a single parent, you have a lot of influence over your child's life. So you really have to question, you really have to scrutinize the homework, the basis of, the textbooks, the bias that a lot of textbooks are now being published. They're changing history so that it fits the agenda of a very liberal school. So I don't think we're going to turn around our public education system. At least, it's this huge thing that needs to be overturned, but I think we're going to have to deal with it, but we have to do it very constructively, very aggressively, really scrutinize. You made an opening comment about being spoon-fed, all this stuff. It comes from all sources in our daily life. Not just talking about the public education system, we're talking about nonprofit agencies, we're talking about all sorts of media, we're talking about churches, we're talking about business clubs that we're part of. You have to scrutinize what is the hidden agenda, the message to try to have everybody get along, try to make this kind of this one world kind of thing.
Right, because
and that's the whole push, and we have to really question, and we have to be very bold.
Yeah, because it's ideas in the culture that are so important.
Darlene Trichtenberg again. I forgot one comment which is really important to me. They had these children read the books, then they get to watch the movie. So Into the Wild is an R-rated movie. And I said, how did you get to show that movie to my kid without my permission because no slip came home? Oh, we tried to censor the nudity. Well, if you really think about it, if you read the book, you already know what's coming. So he tried to cover that up, but he forgot to cover the part up where the underage girl was trying to seduce the main character and stuff. So that stuff is all in there, but the nudity with the people that were in there, that he tried to cover up.
Okay. Over there. Thank you. In my past life with the wrong wife, I had a stepson who we thought was quite bright, and he was in the public school system in the 8th grade and doing very poorly. And so we pulled him out, and we put our money together and checked the sofa cushions for loose change, and managed to get him into a prep school. Now, the prep school cost $12,000 a year tuition, and I was blown away by this. And I found out this prep school started with grade 5, which I thought was odd, and went to grade 12. Well, everybody in grade 5 took Spanish. Everybody in grade 6 took French. Grade 7 was German, and grade 8 was Latin. And then in grade 9, you got to pick your favorite, and you got that every year until you graduated. Now, this is just the foreign language component. So I could go on about the math, and by the way, the comment about math, oh gosh, I teach college math. So I was complaining to a friend of mine, this was back in the days when I was still a little bit of a sheep, and I said to a friend of mine, I said, this school costs $12,000 a year. It's ridiculous. And he said, well, that's what you're paying for the public school. I thought he was kidding. I looked it up. And I was living in the state of West Virginia at this time, okay, which is not a bad state for being so far from civilization. But $12,000 a year is what I was paying for the public school, which didn't even approximate what I just spoke of in the prep school, but that's what we're paying. And the horror stories like Darlene has shared and we've heard all over, this is what we're paying, guys. We're paying the same thing for this horrible government school education indoctrination with all the dangers that you've outlined so articulately tonight, as we could pay for a prep school that would take them so far beyond the acuplacer that we could barely see it as a dot on the horizon.
And we're paying twice.
Only,
pay for the public school.
Oh yeah, so if you put your kid in public school or in private school, you're still paying for the public school. So we're really paying 24 grand a year for this kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, vouchers is a great answer, but the waste of our children's time and of our money is obscene.
And children love to learn. They really do. You know, when you think about when they're babies and they're toddlers and how they crawl around and they're so serious about everything and they love it, you know, so why should that go away? You know, it shouldn't.
Something that you said about obstructing their ability to think, and the purpose of the school is to help them socialize, really struck a chord with me. My granddaughter, when she was 10, she just turned 12, my daughter got an email from the teacher saying she was very concerned that she was losing friends and wasn't able to make friends. Because in the classroom, when the teacher was working with one small group and the others were to be working on their homework, Lauren is very fastidious about her homework and about thinking and about working hard, and the others in the larger group were goofing off and she can't think in the middle of chaos. So she was going around policing all these other children and encouraging them to follow the rules in the classroom that the teacher had set forth. The teacher was not doing this. My 10-year-old granddaughter was. And the teacher's solution to Lauren's problem so she wouldn't start losing more friends is to remove her from the classroom and sit her in the hall to do her work and leave the rest of these brats to disrupt the classroom. I told my daughter, do not talk to Lauren about this when she comes home. That was the solution, was you need to talk to Lauren about this. I said, you go talk to that teacher and say, it's your job to be getting the kids to follow the rules, and do not take this child out and put her in the hall again.
It just infuriates me.
Wow, Charlotte, that was fantastic. Yeah. And we're going to wrap it up. I just